This is Lady Anne, owner of KPNL Radio and hostess of the Caravan Library of Lore, and I support TESSA. As an experiencer myself, I have filed my own reports with them, and the professionalism and heart they have shown my case goes above and beyond. If you have had an experience, I cannot recommend TESSA enough.
Hi, this is Ernie Hudson, Winston's and more from Ghostbusters. I want to let you know that Ryan Stacey, he's created the Experiencer Support Association, TESSA. You can check them out at www.tessacan.org. Now, they investigate paranormal, UFO, and provide support to experiencers. But you can check them out at, like I said, www.tessacan.org and see for yourself if they're really Ghostbusters. I can tell you this, they are a non-profit organization. Good luck, have fun, and keep it busted.
Good evening. You are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association. TESSA is a UFO, paranormal, and paracryptid investigation association. We investigate everything belonging to the global phenomenon linked to highly strange and unexplained experiences. We also connect experiencers with other experiencers, creating a safe, positive environment to engage and discuss this phenomenon without judgment, criticism, or retribution. From the land of the white rolling sands on the southeasterly tip of Georgian Bay, to all of you listening around the world, as we simulcast live on KPNL Radio, we salute you. If you want to go back and listen to our previous episodes, go to youtube.com/the Experiencer Support Association. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be instantly notified when we are live, not only for these episodes, but every single element TESSA has to offer. On our website, tessacan.org, we have something for everyone. We have support for experiencers, data for independent researchers, and places to advertise for professional partners. Hello, everybody. Today is Thursday, November 11th, 2021, and I, Ryan Stacey, am your host this evening. I am a licensed private investigator, a citizen journalist, and the Director of Investigations for the Experiencer Support Association. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for joining us this evening. Remember, to super chat, just click the $ next to your name in the comment box, and remember that all donations go back into the mission. If you're catching this on the replay, please consider becoming a member and unlock bonus content, including behind the scenes and extended footage on our new project developments, including investigations and a bunch of other things that we've been talking about recently. Just click the big blue button that says join. Our guest tonight for season 3, episode number 36 is Stephen Cambian. Stephen Cambian is an experienced researcher, commenter, and reporter on paranormal subjects. His background includes being a stage magician, mentalist, musician, and content creator. His artistic works have been featured in films, in theater productions, television, radio, and more. On October 26th, I was a guest on his show, Truth Seekers. He got to know me then, and TESSA, and everything else in between. But tonight, I return the favor. And I've been seeing that he has his eye on mainstream ufologists and paranormal researchers. It doesn't seem like he believes most of what they're saying, and neither do I. So I want to know why, and I want to know who. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So for now, Stephen, put on your tinfoil hat. How are you doing this evening? Your mic is off, sir. That was the best intro for you, and then the mic is
There you
off.
go.
There you go.
Okay. So good to see, I just said good to see you. I'm glad to see you again. And thanks for that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for doing that. I do remember our podcast. That was great. That was lots of energy. We got lots of people here in the chat. Hello, everybody. Good to see you, Kevin. I'm going to shout out to you because Chantel let me know what you were going through the last couple of days. So I'm glad to see you. Thank you for being here tonight, and hello to all the other members that are here. So what we do for this show, Stephen, before we get into the questions, is we do what's called an icebreaker. And that is brought to us by Tim the Demon Guy Morrison. So the way that it works, I'll just play his intro here. 1 sec. So you guys can find Tim the Demon Guy Morrison at the Demon Guy on Facebook and Demon Guy Canada on Twitter. But what he does is he preloads a question for me. It's the icebreaker. I'm going to open it and read it for the first time. As you see, it's been stapled.
Wow, this is like a game show.
It's like a game show, but this is going to break. This is going to break the ice.
Oh, that's a good idea. Actually, I'm always a little nervous interviewing people about that first question.
Yeah, no, well, so am I. So am I. And this was kind of something that he thought of that would help me. And then here we are. So he says, "How would you prove you were human and not an AI?" Ooh, good question.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I have a background in computer science, so this is right up my alley. Like, I think I would. I mean, there's a Turing test. I could certainly pass a Turing test, and a lot of AIs may not be able to do that. And for those that don't know, that's just a test. That's kind of a philosophical thing. Okay. Once AIs can pass Turing tests, they'll be indistinguishable from human consciousnesses. So I don't know. I display emotions. I guess maybe that would be one way to prove I wasn't an AI.
That's interesting because you would know because you understand computers. I, on the other hand, I'm unable to answer that question. Other than the probably the most cliche thing is saying I'm not a robot. But with but that's what the robot would say. Excuse me, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting philosophical question. I once had a college professor ask me how I would prove that I existed.
Okay.
That's another one. Like, this is something to think about. It's hard to answer these questions.
Yeah, strange. All right. So the first question for me, as I ask everybody on the show and leading into your bio, just simply, why are you the way that you are? So how did you become this guy that you are today, this reporter in ufology and paranormal studies, magician, mentalism? Where do you want to start? And let's take me through it.
I got interested in UFOs because when I was 10 years old, I saw a UFO myself, and it was elliptical and a few hundred feet above me in the forest. When I was 10 years old, it was completely silent. It was dull silver gray. I couldn't make out any distinguishable windows or portals, but it always intrigued me, this experience that I had, and I wanted to know more. I was convinced that these may be aliens that were visiting us, or it may have been an alien spacecraft that I saw. Years later, I would come to change my opinion and think that maybe what I saw was some sort of black budget project, because I saw it right near something called McGuire Air Force Base, literally 2 miles from their runways. And so that always weighed heavily on me. And then I got to talk to some people that worked on that base once, years later, who told me that there were some strange projects flying in and out of McGuire from the West Coast. They would fly from the West Coast, land here on the East Coast, fuel up, and fly back. So that always made me wonder. But I got started because of this experience that I had. And I just started reading everything that I could find, every book, every magazine article, every newspaper article, trying to find out more.
Was that the only experience though? So you were 10 years old and then you started, or did years pass?
Yeah, no, maybe. No, I pretty much started trying to find, going to the library and trying to find books. Back then it was pre-internet, so yeah, I start right away collecting materials. And if I heard about like a story about a UFO in a newspaper, I would clip it out. I used to have a binder full of them, and I got started from there. I mean, there was a time when I was, I guess, later on as a teenager and then early into adulthood that I used to listen to listen to Art Bell and listen to everybody that talked about UFOs that I could consume. And I believed most of them. But the more that I started to dig into some of these people, the less of a believer I became.
Okay, so we're gonna get into that. So that was a little shorter than I was hoping for, but this
Yeah,
is the
I don't have
meat.
much.
That's okay,
I
but this is the
saw
meat
a
and bones.
strange thing. It got
This
me
is gonna be
started. Yeah.
That's okay though. Any paranormal experiences? Any ghosts? Any goblins? Any
I once
monsters?
lived across the street from a graveyard. It was my first home with my
Okay.
wife. And we used to joke that the neighbors were great because they were so quiet. We were right
Mhm.
across from a graveyard. And there was great parking for being in the city. So we heard knocking and weird noises and voices and whispers and all kinds of things. And for the whole time we lived there. And I eventually brought in a friend who has ghost hunting equipment, and he's into that. And he found that the home had unusually high levels of magnetic fields, especially where we were like hearing voices or hearing knocks. And so I kind of chalked it up to maybe it wasn't paranormal, maybe it was these high magnetic fields were causing some
Mm.
kind of weird brain activity in both of us, and we thought we were hearing things or seeing things, but you know, yeah,
Do you
it
think the
was kind of like
paranormal? Yeah, go
I'm
ahead. Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was
Keep going.
before I could really dig deep into it more. We were out of there. We only lived there for like 2 years, so I kind of just put it aside and forgot about it. But that experience of finding out that maybe what I was hearing or seeing or experiencing had a scientific basis and not a pseudoscience or paranormal basis made me a lot more cautious when dealing with people that are having these experiences, because I don't think that it's always ghosts or demons. I think sometimes it may be naturally occurring phenomenon that can
Mhm.
cause changes in the brain or alter brain waves and play with your
Could it
mind.
be natural or could it be government? Could it be a
Yeah, I
weapon?
mean,
Could it be a
it
weapon?
could be. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
there's things like the God hat, which makes me nervous. I'm sure that if they could do the God hat, which is this helmet they put on you with these magnetic imaging things to put you in a certain brain state, then why couldn't they just project those waves at a distance?
Mhm.
And this may be what we're seeing in some of these claimed embassy attacks, is some
Mhm.
form of psychotronic weapon, which used to be a conspiracy theory, but here we are.
Mhm. Well, see, that's the interesting thing too. The way you described your paranormal activity, and is essentially like the way that we are with our ultra spectrum. We think that it may be, and as I explained on your channel, all of it connected. So like calling it a ghost, calling it an alien doesn't matter. It's just you're looking at the characteristics, and when you looked at the characteristics of it, that's when you started to question that it didn't fit within that stereotype. But could they both be the same thing and we're just mislabeling it? Could it all be
Could
together,
be.
all one big
Yeah.
massive project?
Could be, and it could be, that these strange images and or these strange magnetic fields or microwave energy or these scalar waves, it could be all related. You
Hmm.
know, yeah.
Hmm. Anything's possible. That's the thing, right? So like all these things. So with that, that's actually a good segue into what I really want to get into. But before I get into that, because the first question I'm gonna ask into that is gonna make or break my heart. But we'll get into that. But you mentioned that when you were listening to Art Bell, there were some people that you trusted and some people that you didn't. I want to know who you trusted. Who do you trust right now, or then, or
Well,
anyone at all? Do you trust
that's
anyone? And
that's a difficult
before,
question.
don't say who you don't, because that's going to take
Oh,
up the
I
whole
will.
show.
Yeah,
But
it'll take me too long. I will tell you this: that people ask me all the time, "Who is it that you listen to, Stephen, and trust is telling us the truth?" And
mhm,
to be honest, I have a very short list that I could count on
mhm,
one hand. I like John from the Black Vault because I think he's so tenacious that he will go to the ends of the earth to get the information that he's looking for, and he will
mhm,
exhaust all leads in his pursuit of that. And I know how hard it is to literally spend 2 weeks on something, exhausting every single lead. And from what I've seen, John always does that. He is not afraid to put in the time and the energy. And I also think that he's very grounded and sort of science-based, and he's not so willing to just go to the woo right away to explain things or jump on the believer train. He's very measured and cautious. That's how I would describe him in what he says publicly about what he believes about each of the things he investigates.
And that's because he's actively getting the information, and you don't want to, bite the hand that feeds you, right?
Yeah.
So
facts in hand before mouth in gear.
That's right. And I can relate to that when I get my Canadian documents and other people are asking me, hey, are you willing to sign this petition that says fight your government and we want disclosure? And I said, no. And they're like, why? What do you mean? This is what you're fighting for? I was like, yeah, it is, but I'm not fighting them for it. And because I haven't fought them for it, they've been giving me the info. So and with John, I agree with you. I never had the chance to talk to him simply because he's in circles that don't like me. But
yeah, everybody's got to pick a team. Maybe pick the wrong team. Oh, the other guy I really like I like Jeremy Rise, alien scientist, and I've been getting to know M Seeker of Truth. I like him, and Alien Addict Ali. I just like him because he'll straight tell you, he's like, I don't think I believe any of these people. I don't believe in these aliens. I don't believe in these stories, but I love this drama between people. And I want to talk about that and the interpersonal drama. And at least he's honest in his coverage, Yeah, but Jeremy Rise is interesting too, because he spent years chasing anti-gravity science and trying to figure out how these things work.
I'm making a list because I apart from John, I haven't heard of these guys. So I'm going to look. That's why I asked you who you trust, because I'm going to kind of look. Right?
Yeah, you can come back and tell me what you think after.
Well, that's all good, because everyone has their own groups. Everyone has their cliques. Like you have your following, we have ours. Tonight we're bringing them together.
I want to mention we're doing a simulcast too. So
and I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
This is on both of our channels, so that we can amplify our voices.
I didn't even know that was possible, and I appreciate that. So our ratings are going to be super high tonight, and that's thanks to you. I appreciate that. But that's the thing, right? That's what we got to do. Is everyone's got their circles, everyone's got their little clubs. But we're all fighting for the same thing, and the problems that I'm facing is we have our group, but our group is welcoming anyone that's willing to sit down and have a conversation. But there's a lot of challenges to get people to sit in that chair and talk. And with that, even when it's like, okay, they're busy, so let's give them something specific that's interesting to them, that it might get their attention. I've tried so many ways to give these people exactly what it is they're missing, exactly what it is they say they want, hoping that gets their attention, so that way I get them in the chair, and I can confirm it got their attention, but I'm still not getting them in the chair. So there's these circles and these other people that are connected to other people. It's kind of been the theme today. I've been talking about it. I just learned, some people in my circles have dark past and stuff, and it's coming to the surface, and association with that is starting to affect us and things like that. So that's in general terms. So I want to move up to the main level, which is with all these groups, no matter what friends we have and differences of opinions, is the main what I call the mainstream ufologists, or the mainstream paranormal researchers. I don't think any paranormal are in the mainstream, but let's just in case there are. I don't want to offend.
I'm sure that I would count somebody like Zach Baggins or some of the top tier ghost hunters as sort of in that.
The ones that are on TV, the ones that are always in the news, the ones that are always doing the programs. So that master circle, or that circuit, and there's even circuits in between. So they're playing both sides. So I know that you've been doing a lot of research, and I've been seeing just your not your videos, because I've been busy. I do apologize, but I've been just seeing
quite right. I can't catch up with everybody I want to.
I know, but I've been seeing your Twitter post that kind of gives me the gist of it. This person is not this, and this person's this, and this person's that. It piques my interest. So I want to start the floor with asking your opinion on Richard Dolan. And the reason for that, and I'll give you some, and
Yeah.
I want you to be completely honest, is because I like Dolan. I've always liked Dolan. I've met Dolan many times. He had me on his show. He's actually responsible for the little bit of a pick-me-up that I got at the beginning when I was with MUFON. I am grateful for that opportunity, but I haven't had interaction with him for such a long time. I've tried to make contact with him. He's in these circles. So I'm willing, I want to have a conversation with someone who may actually know why. And if you have some information which was alluded to in your posts, I want to hear
Sure.
it now,
Yeah,
and I
we can
want to
cover
have a
that.
conversation about it.
Yeah. Well, one of the people growing up that was an early hero of mine, besides Stanton Friedman, was Richard Dolan. And I read his first couple of books that were so well researched and science-based and fact-based, and here's the evidence, and just a treasure trove of data and evidence. And I suppose over the years I've watched him degrade into basically the level of respectability that the National Enquirer or a rag tabloid has. He'll just sell anything now. So, and this is something that I see has been common with a lot of researchers. They start out with their heart in the right place, and maybe they stray as the money gets bigger or whatever. I really can't speak to his motivations, but what I can speak to is that he has been involved in several 100% hoaxes. Most recently, there's a whole lot of controversy about the CIA deathbed confession video, because I came out very strongly and said the source that Richard Dolan is interviewing is fake. It's a 100% fake source. And I didn't release much of the information about how I knew that. But recently I released one data point. And it turns out that Richard Dolan interviewed a man in 2014 that died in 2008. So I want to know, how did he interview a dead guy in 2014 that died in 2008?
How did you confirm that he died in 2000?
Well,
do you have an obituary?
Well, it's better than that. The source originally came from Linda Moulton Howe.
Okay.
So Linda Moulton Howe, I have several sources of her, both on her own website and blog, reporting that the guy died in 2008, and then also in media appearances where she mentioned, oh, what a shame, this great man. She really had a lot of respect for this source of hers that she claimed worked for the CIA and was involved with aliens in Area 51. So she mentions it on a public appearance saying, oh yeah, it's really a shame that he passed away a month ago or something. And this again was in 2008. And the whole time that this story has been, they took the source from Linda Moulton Howe, and people are asking me to explain this. And my sort of defense is, it's not my place to explain it. It's Richard Dolan's place to explain it. I've raised the questions, and Dolan originally said that he would look into this and make a statement of his own. I gave him 2 months to do so before I started releasing. I've released the first data point proving that is a completely and totally fake person that he's
now. Did the interview just get released in 2014, or
it was both? It was both recorded and released in 2014.
And
I verified that.
Confirm that. Huh.
Yeah. Now further, one of the other problems I have with Richard Dolan is we can see there's him with one story based on one anonymous source that we can pick apart and say there's something not right here. Next, he's pushing these Wilson documents, which he's relying on more than 10, I believe, anonymous sources to prop up that and prove that it might be real. It must be real. But in order for us to believe the Wilson documents are real, we have to believe Richard Dolan is on the up and up with some 8 or 10 anonymous sources that he's using to sell that story, when we can sort of display what happens when we catch him with one story with one anonymous source. And my thing is, I understand the need for anonymous sources in any journalistic endeavor, but if you've got a proven track record of maybe using a dead man as a source, and that guy's anonymous, then maybe the next time you sell a story and you're depending on 10 anonymous or 8 or 10 anonymous sources to sell that story, we should have the right to say that's too many anonymous sources. You have to release some of these people so that we can verify that this story is accurate before you continue to profit from it. But that's really not what we get.
So I can speak to anonymous sources. So I mean, with experiencers, like they're all anonymous to me.
Sure.
Some do want to come forward and all that other stuff as well. But the best way, I mean, I work with them to a point that should I be challenged, there's a certain level of information that I've been permitted to release at the appropriate time to prove authenticity. Because I can simply just say, yeah, I believe this is what happened. I investigated it. And somebody can just be like, oh yeah, saying the same thing that you've just said because I claim anonymous source. But I have that contingency plan in place for someone to challenge that. The journalists use anonymous sourcing and all these other things. The problem I have with that being a scapegoat or a very easy term to use is I've proven in some cases that this anonymous source is the same source, the same person or the writer, and it's just an opinion in which they want to convey their own.
They want to project it on somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like
but
he said that, not me. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really, really dirty trick to use. And with this anonymous sourcing, for me, on an evidence point of view, it's not usable information. So if you don't believe what Dolan is saying from the source,
that's another thing. The actual interview, we can pick apart everything this man said and prove that there is an incredible amount of historical inaccuracies.
Right.
For example,
that's inaccurate.
Yeah. For example, he said he flew to Area 51 on a certain plane. And you have to forgive me. It's been months since I've gone through this whole debunk. We have a whole file of the debunk of this guy and everything that he said. There's just too many historical inaccuracies. He said he flew on a plane to Area 51 at a year that they didn't use that plane in the Air Force. It didn't exist yet or something like that. And again, he claimed that the Men in Black came after him in these big Cadillacs at a time when all federal employees had already transitioned to SUVs, not black Cadillacs. There's all these little minutia. If we pick apart this man's narrative and all of the historical inaccuracies, plus the fact that Linda Moulton Howe reported him dead in 2008, raise a lot of red flags. There's also the fact that I believe that I found the man that they actually interviewed in this 2014 interview. He lived 10 miles from the motel where the interview took place. He was arrested for, I'm not even going to get into that, but not a credible guy. And why is he pretending to be somebody that died in 2008? There's just too many questions about this story. And again, it's not my place to explain these inconsistencies, the historical inaccuracies of most of what this anonymous deathbed guy said. It's really up to the people who made the money selling the story. And that thing went viral. It was all over the internet.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say. Like if the source is the information is not accurate, okay, if that was Dolan or anonymous source or Dolan himself, if Dolan believes the non-credible source, then that also shows that he's willing to accept not credible information.
Well, Interestingly, he stood there in front of cameras and he said, this man is who he says he is, as he's interviewing a guy that apparently already died. So, I'm sorry. He's got to explain this. I can't explain it, how he interviewed a guy that was already dead. I can't explain. And that coupled with the historical inaccuracies of much of what this person described,
right?
It's just not credible. And then we have Jeremy Corbell once did reply to one of my video posts and said something like, this is attention-seeking BS. I vetted his DD-214. And everybody said, great, let's see it. And now he's going to hide behind his journalistic integrity and say, no, I promised that I would keep that anonymous. First of all, the guy's already dead. And second of all, you said you vetted the DD-214 of a guy that you interviewed in 2014 that was dead in 2008. So was it the guy you interviewed in 2014's DD-214, or was it the original source from Linda Moulton Howe's DD-214 that died in 2008? You see how this is just too problematic for me. The story is just not
Too many people in the kitchen. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I got to interrupt this. Mr. DB Cooper 77. You are new to me. You're not on our channel, so you must be on his channel. I'm not sure if that super chat was for us or for him because I don't know.
No,
how that
all the
works,
ones that you're seeing in your chat are for you. I'm not.
Well, then, thank you very
now.
much. Thank you so much for that. He says, to be fair, Dolan, Greer, etc. They praise the cash, bro. So I mean, it's motive. That's motive intent. What we all do. So I mean, what's your in your opinion? And maybe we'll do Greer. Do you have any more dirt on Dolan? Do you got anything else on Dolan?
I got a lot, but I'm still working on some of it. So,
well,
we are going to be doing a deep dive into the Wilson documents, and I'm trying my very best to.
And that's what you. Well, if that's what he's talking about, then you look at those documents.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
That's the source.
Yes.
What he's doing is he's speculating on documents. Everyone can speculate on the UAP documents. You know, if you want to formulate your own opinion, go to the source. Doesn't matter what these people say; it's their own opinion. So, what was I going to say?
I think we're going to be doing a very deep dive on the Wilson documents. But
what about the abduction video? Isn't Dolan kind of wasn't he involved in the reveal of that ET autopsy thing?
Oh, the original alien autopsy? I'm sure he's talked about it, but I don't think that he really profited from it or pushed it too much.
Well, he's mentioned it to me a few times and saying that he says that was a hoax. So what I find was interesting, to piggyback off of what you've said, is if he's lying about something based on your evidence, and then he's saying that somebody else is lying based on their evidence. Is this is who's telling the truth? Is this a game? Cooper, Mr. DB Cooper 77, thank you so much for that other one. I appreciate that. A lot in speculation, true. So yeah, my opinion would be, or I guess, what is your opinion on which side to believe? Can you give them?
It looks like our simulcast got killed somehow. I don't think it's online. I don't know how that happened.
Okay, well that explains why everybody's here.
No, it's quite all right. It's all right. I've done enough videos this week. We'll just keep them all here.
It's all
I'll
good.
tweet out your link then right now.
Okay.
I'll tweet that out and try to get everybody back in here. Well, that's so weird. It just must have killed it. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just so weird, I guess. All right, so let's keep this going. Let's go to Greer then. How about Stephen Greer? What are your opinions on?
Well, I've got a lot more information on him. Stephen Greer once raised $400,000 with which he claimed that he was going to create an open source free energy device with the $400,000. It was something called the Orion Project. He started a nonprofit 501c3 for it, and everything looked like, wow, this is great. He's starting a charity, and the purpose of the charity is to collect money, do research, and give the world a free energy device. And he really pumped this thing for quite a long time, soliciting donations. And then the 501c3 just went defunct. He never produced a single device, let alone a working one, as he promised he would. So really, we're left with a lot of questions about that, right? And next, he has collected millions of dollars in crowdfunding for his documentaries. And, I try not to be too judgmental, but I do know a lot about video editing and stuff like that. I asked around with some people that I know who make documentaries, one who worked for public broadcasting, Channel 12 in the United States. Everybody's familiar with PBS. And he made documentaries. And, I said, does it cost $1 million to make a documentary? And he said, well, it depends. Probably not. No, most budgets are nowhere near that. But if they have a lot of special effects or stuff in there, I don't know. But then I sent him the documentary that Stephen Greer collected over $1 million for. And he said, there's no way that he spent that kind of money on this. It's people sitting being interviewed, which means one or two cameras, a sound guy, and he said that he could have done that whole documentary in a month or two. And that does not cost $1 million.
No.
So there's this sort of, to me, there is this underlying profit motive with him where he's going to collect $1 million, let's just be generous and say he spent $100,000 to make the documentaries, and then he pockets $900,000. Then he does it again, and now his latest documentary, I believe he raised $450,000 to create. This one he gives away for free, but still, it's not something that cost him that much money to create.
But it's not his fault for putting that out there. Whose fault is it? It's all the people that give him the money.
Yeah,
if we didn't give him the money, he wouldn't, so that's the marketing and that's the mission and that's the cause. A lot of people believe in that. So he takes the money, he makes the movie, he does whatever he needs to do with it. People are handing that over. Like your Mr. T. Cooper 7. Thank you again. He says,
I'm not sure what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah. You said,
do you believe he gave up $2
million, to stop his research? Is that possible?
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. We gave him an award for boldest liar because this man claims that the United States government first threatened to kill him, then offered him $2 billion if he would just shut up about those aliens. And he's too much of a, he's got too good of ethics and morality to take a deal like that, so he wouldn't do it. And we're talking about a guy who used a dead baby to scam people for alien money. So to me, I don't see him turning down $2 billion.
That's serious. Yeah, that's a little ET creature. You think was a baby?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. He knew. Talk to the scientist that was doing the analysis. He knew that. Let's say, for example, I don't remember the exact date that he released the video, the documentary, but he knew from the scientists doing the genetic analysis that within a very short time, let's say a month, 2 max, from the date that he decided to release this documentary, he would have the results of all of that scientific research, of all the DNA tests. If you thought you had an alien, wouldn't you just wait 2 more months to release that documentary and put all the proof it was an alien in the documentary? No, he purposefully released this documentary before the results were back so that he could get that money grab. And then he went on to claim that the CIA got to the guy who did the scientific analysis and forced him or threatened him to say it was just a human. It's just,
I mean,
ridiculous.
that's a sequence of events. Those events could be true. I mean, but the way they're lined up is definitely suspicious. I would agree to that. But like that's the testimony thing. So to make that simple to me, like I'd be like, why would somebody go through those lengths? And obviously the answer I know you'll say is the money, because money is a motive there. I mean, for me with Greer, I do like his idea of the one group, one person, one universe, one people, and to encourage people to make contact, make your own groups. You okay? You just, all right.
I've got a terrible cold, so forgive me if I mute.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Cough on a lung.
It's all good. So I do like his message in terms of encouraging people to make contact. And so it's a marketing funnel to buy his app to get those tones and all that other stuff. But it is also convenient. But you can get those elsewhere. But that message itself, I think, is harmless. So and I kind of feel like,
well, see, everybody has a different opinion. My opinion is that if you're telling people buy my app for $10 and you're going to contact alien civilizations with my app for $10, and I buy that app and I don't contact the aliens, then to me that's consumer fraud.
Well, that's exactly. It's all that part. That's where kind of you gotta look at it. But I mean, is there an honest way to make money? Let's go there. What would be the best way to market what Greer is doing, since we're talking about him? If you were him and you had that same theology, how would you?
I don't know, because I wouldn't do many of the things that he did, including using a dead baby. I wouldn't use a dead baby or a human corpse for anything.
Can it be confirmed, or is that just an assumption?
What's that? That it's a baby?
That it's a baby. Has that been confirmed?
No, yeah. That's came back that it was a fetus. Okay. So a human fetus with many deformities, genetic deformities that cause the unusual skull type and bone density and whatever other deformities that it had. So if you think about it, this is a very sad human that was either born, depending on who you ask, or unborn, that had all these deformities, and then somehow got mummified out in the desert somewhere, somehow. And, I just think you should bury it and leave it alone. You shouldn't go try to make $1 million claiming it's an alien. But that's
Mm-hmm.
my morals and my ethics, not his.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I shouldn't judge.
Well, no,
You know?
it's a good point, because like if it, like MD MD Mr. DB Cooper 77, I love the idea too, but it seems like marketing to me, not necessarily a push for proof. Exactly. So we have to market, we have to market too. I mean, there are different ways. Like this is marketing. You are single-handedly. I will tell you this right now. You were the most paying customer we've ever had in this entire show. So you right now are part of the solution / part of the problem. Because like and what I mean by that, it's the people that are buying, and because the people believe in the message. So if can any of the people in ufology that charges for books, that charges for admission to events, that says, come over and meet and sign my autograph and all that other stuff, and people are handing all their money out for that, is there a time when that's acceptable for those,
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that there's a way. I have nothing against people making money at all. I mean, we're all trying to make money. We're all dependent on having some form of financial income. It's just the problem that I have is, for example, if you're making money and you're interviewing a dead guy making money, telling people that this guy worked for the CIA and was, all of this crazy story, then I have a problem with that, because to me, it's just a form of consumer fraud, because you're presenting these stories as true stories. And if it can be easily proven that this is not a true story, then to me that's immoral and unethical. And honestly, this UFO world is filled with people that are using, there's people using rapists as sources for alien stories right now in ufology. There's people using or who have used child molesters in the past as sources. There's documentary companies that made an entire documentary based on Stan Romanek's testimony, who was then convicted for being a kiddie porn aficionado. And they won't take that DVD off of Hulu and Netflix or wherever they're making money from it. There's just some things in this thing that are so slimy and to me so immoral that it makes me kind of sick. I'm like, this is gross,
But that's the other thing too, is like, 'cause some people are bad, some people are good, some people are good, then they become bad, and some people are bad and then they become good.
There's a lot of gray. I agree.
There's a lot of gray area.
It's not black and white.
Like it's that's why it's not that I support Greer. So what I'm saying is I like his philosophy, whether the intention behind it is a charade or not. That's subjective. It can go either way. But
I believe he may believe what he says.
It's a good model. It's a good belief. Now, it's not the only belief. He's not the only person who thinks like that. It's just he's the current one marketing that. And I mean, like Dolan, like all these guys in their prime. This is what I kind of look back to, like like Stanton Freeman. Like, I mean, before I met him too. Before actually I saw him, I sat with him at Alien Cosmic Expo the night before he left and passed on that plane.
Oh wow!
Like I would like
to. I would like to spend that last couple of days with him myself.
Yeah, but we didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Nobody
you
knew,
never know.
Right? Yeah. So I mean, that's a whole life of things. Some people like him, some people don't. But what they got to look at, and what I'm looking at now, is his files. His research and what they did do and all, because it's ugly. This world is this mess of ufology can go back and forth if money is the goal. So if money is the goal, if there's a place to manipulate the people, and there's opportunity for the people to pay into some sort of help because they don't have answers, how do we stop that? Because like you creating awareness and talking about it, I like that. That's why I reached out to you. That's why we're having this conversation. And I just kind of want to figure out what the solution is, because we need to get on top and tell people the truth. If you have the evidence, we need to get that on mainstream media. So how do we do that? And
Yeah. Lately, I've been learning that the unfortunate thing is that biggest bullhorn wins. So these people basically are a lot of these people that I report on. I report very true and accurate things, and that could be dangerous. For example, I've been threatened to be sued twice, and then somebody else just yesterday sent me another legal threat letter claiming they're suing somebody else, and they want me, that's a source of mine, and they want me to preserve all of my electronic communications. They sent me this angry letter ordering me not to delete any messages because they may subpoena those messages, and that's these are private messages between a source and me. So
for disclosure, and you tell them to disclose their evidence first, and then whatever they provide you is what you comment on. You don't give them anything. If they're going to sue
no,
you,
I'm not giving them anything.
You ask them for their evidence, and then you respond, because if they
well, some of this is just
they'll have the conversation too, because if they
Yeah.
don't have it, right, then that might be a scare tactic for you to reveal stuff that they don't have.
No, and I won't tell them anything.
There's
But
your
some of it is
legal
just
advice.
some of it is just threats and intimidation because they want to shut me up.
Mr. Cooper, Ryan, all we need is one case to be true for the phenomenon to be real. If not, everyone is lying. I just can't believe that.
No, well,
I don't know if you heard me on any of my podcasts before, but I keep saying that all I need is one case. And we don't need, I agree with you. Like, as soon as one person can definitively solve this riddle, and we just got to give it to all these people and get it to the top, then everybody that's been in this yo-yo just goes down the drain. But that's for the mainstream game, right?
Sure. Yeah.
We're not in mainstream. We're not Lee Guy, thank you for that. We're not
Thanks,
not, it's like Hollywood. Let's look at Hollywood for ufology. Not everyone can be an actor. Not everyone can be in the movies. We all idolize these actors, and we talk and we follow their lives, and we do all that stuff, and we pay for the movies, and we go and see them, and we watch the TV shows. We subscribe to the channels. A lot of that stuff is similar to ufology. But then the upcoming actors and all these other things try and strive to get to Hollywood so they can make the money and be on the big screen and do all that other stuff. So do we have to be on mainstream in order to be successful? Like, should that be a goal?
I think this has always been a very underground thing. I mean, even let's take, for example, Art Bell in his heyday, in his prime, at the height of his listenership. He had millions and millions of listeners on AM radio, was perhaps one of the most popular AM radio programs ever. But at the time that he was at the height of his fame and popularity and success, if you would ask 10 people in the United States who Art Bell was, nobody would know. Nobody would even know. It's very similar for this. I believe this is a strange subculture that some people are very plugged into and connected into, like you and I. But, go ask your neighbors if they know who Richard Dolan or Stephen Greer are. They don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing too that I'm getting here in Canada, because there's other people like, oh, have you heard of this person and this person? You should idolize this person. And then like, why is that person famous? Okay, well, let me take a look at their work. And then 5 years later, I give that information to a journalist, and the journalist pulls the plug on them. And, I did say this morning I would stop shitting on that guy, but that kind of I just won't say his name. So give me that today, guys. I won't say his name, but you guys all know who I'm talking about. But I mean, but that's perspective, right? So what's good for those groups and those people? There's all these different religions, different gods for different
this
reasons.
becomes a religion to some people, actually.
So how does someone like me or you or anyone who's actively trying to get answers solve it with all these struggles?
Yeah, I mean, I've been struggling with some of this monetization issues myself because, I did this for free for 5 or 6 years, and only recently.
Thank you for doing that.
Only recently, a thankless job, right?
I know.
But only recently did I turn on those super chats. And it seemed like as soon as I did, a lot of people came with knives out, at my back, like you're a sellout now. And like,
Yeah,
to
but
me, it's like, I did it for 5 years, 6 years for free. You know, I'm
yeah,
going
but
to take a couple bucks.
you're still doing it for free. We're not doing it for the super chats. You know, if
Mhm.
the person decides to super chat,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that's
My
on
content
them.
is 100%
And
free. If people choose to
that's
contribute, they
validation.
can.
Thank you
Yeah.
so again, Stephen or Mr. DB Cooper,
Yeah. Mr. DB
77.
Cooper is one of my generous friends. Yeah.
Well,
Great
thank
guy.
you for
Thank
being generous
you.
to us
Yeah.
tonight. So what did you say? What is your favorite case that leads to you to believe the phenomenon is real? Ooh, that's a good question. Stephen, you go first.
One of my favorites. Well, I'm sure my very favorite is Roswell, just because the volume of material that's available for you to read, digest, and look deeper into is so voluminous. There's just more books. There's more books written on the Roswell case than any other UFO case in history, and there's more material. There's more documentaries on Roswell than any other single UFO event in history. So that's my favorite, and my second favorite has always been the Cash Landrum case, because these people experienced what may be, or the doctor believed, were radiation burns, which is very interesting to me. They encountered a UFO and then they got radiation poisoning. So there's physical trace evidence, you know, on the vehicle. They had blisters and burns from what the doctor believed was radiation burns, and other physical evidence, you know. And then there's also this strange event that happened, that they dug up like miles of the road where the event happened. They dug up and replaced, not once, but twice in a few years. And some people said, at least, that was because of the radiation all over that road. So they dug away some of that radioactive material, got rid of it, and replaced it with new material. And then apparently some people claim they had to do it a second time because the radiation levels were still too high. To me, that's an amazing mystery. And to this day, the original witnesses, those that are still remaining, stick by their story 100%. And the story hasn't changed. It hasn't, you know, morphed or been added to like so many other stories do. And they haven't really sought to profit. They've participated with some people that were wanting to talk about their story, but they never went out there looking for money for their story, which to me is a good indicator of honesty and integrity. Where the people that are right there with their hand out looking to get paid for their story, to me, they're a little less credible.
Well, it's a way to justify the time and the energy that is sacrificed to do what we do. I mean, if you know, I mean, it's not a crime. It's just, it's not going to get you. You're not going to find the answers in a book. I was going to, but I mean, I'm kind of putting my foot in my mouth here, but I'm right case reviews, as you know, right?
Yeah, wait, ain't you selling a book, you hypocrite?
But you know, but that's a case. It's a different type, because it shows you, you know, what I know and what I don't know. So like, that's education. I'm educating.
Yeah, actually, I got your book, but I haven't.
Did you?
I looked through it a little bit, but I got busy. I got sidetracked by my kids, so I put it.
Yeah, well, thank you for that.
You know what I do?
Oh, you froze.
Books or whatever, things that I want to read, and when I have time, usually at the cabin, I take my pile of reading material. So I'll be getting through that soon. I'm sure.
I give you full permission for you to do one of your rants on my book, like be good and bad. I mean, no, don't.
From what I saw so far,
don't hold back. Don't hold back.
No, from what I saw so far, I like it. From what I saw so far, I like it.
So I want to answer. So Steve Scott, sorry, Mr. DB Cooper 77. I want to answer your question as well. So because that was to both of us. But particularly, you said, what is your favorite case that leads you to believe the phenomenon is real? So Canada has a lot of cases like Falcon Lake, Shag Harbor, that are like, those are well-known, documented cases. Actually, right here, the Guardian case. This is an RCMP investigative report. It's 13 pages long of a review of a video evidence that the RCMP has. I'm working on releasing that. You know, the investigative process is kind of the things that makes me think that something's happening. But the belief comes from my civilian work, when I'm working with experiencers who have experiencer tests, who are not, you know, who don't have the opportunity to be viewed as these messiahs or these the ones who don't have the chance to be heard, and the ones that we're helping with the Experiencer Support Association. That's what makes me believe the phenomenon is real, because I get the social interaction, I get the feelings, I get the emotion, I get the data, I get to work with them privately. I'm not working with them publicly. What becomes public is the book at the end of the year, but that's showing that's a joint release with the people that confided in me. And that's also used as a strategy together to push the movement forward. And so for me, I believe that these people believe in the phenomenon, and because I can't disprove that their events are not normal, I have to believe that it's real, but I just don't know what it is. You said phenomenon, right? So we call it the ultra spectrum, where it could be aliens, it could be ghosts, it could be monsters, it could be all of the above, but it doesn't matter what you want to call it. What matters is we get it off the chest and we break it down and we figure out, what's real and what's not real, and make sure what you think happened to you is what actually may have happened to you. And then the pieces that are left. So I learn a lot more by doing this privately than I ever have done publicly. And that's a challenge too, because if I spent all the time that I've done privately marketing myself, I'd be super famous, possibly, but I wouldn't have any data or to prove it. You know what I mean? So what I kind of leading into is these people spend a lot of time talking, and they go around talking, and they make a lot of money talking. And as you said earlier, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Right?
Yeah.
No, thank you, Mr. I'm just going to call you Cooper for now on for the rest of the show. Thank you, Cooper. And thank you guys for those stickers. I'm glad you're having fun here. This is the most interaction we've ever had. So I appreciate that.
I'm glad that we could bring some people. I wish I would have known that the simulcast would have borked, so I would have just been pumping your link for the last couple of days, but it is what it is.
Don't worry, man. It's all good.
I've never seen that happen before. Normally I set it and forget it, and
they're still here. They found you. They figured it out. They're smarter than you. They're smarter than you give them credit.
It's on my Twitter. It's on my Twitter. Your link's on my Twitter too, and I just tweeted it back out. So
all right. So we're going to get into a commercial break soon, but before we do that commercial break,
you have commercials here? You sell out.
No, well, they're not.
I'm just teasing.
They're not paid commercials. There are commercials. It's the only opportunity we have to market ourselves to your audience by playing.
I've been joking. I was just joked on my show recently that if my audience wants a stripper pole, I will do that. I will put one in, and we'll have.
Yeah, that was the intro to your video. I remember that. I was sitting there watching that, and I was like, "This is is this going to get worse?"
Trying to get that past my wife. Yeah. I'm just going to put a stripper pole on both sides of me, and we'll move the cameras back. Get some girls. I think that might improve the views. I don't know.
Oh man, are we having fun tonight? That's good.
And actually I needed this, Ryan, because I've had a bang up hell of a week, and this is the last thing I have to do, and I'm done till Monday. I'm not doing anything else for my show or Conspiracy Land until Monday. I've got a lot of stuff to do.
It's good to take a break from that, and I'm very happy that I'm able to do that for you, and thank you so much for being here. It's today's been a day of people telling me that they're glad that these opportunities are here, because I've been feeling bad all day, because I wanted to cancel today because today's Remembrance Day and Veterans Day and all that stuff. So heavy stuff this morning.
Thanks to all the veterans for your service and keeping us
thank you
free and safe and
So that was a pretty heavy morning for those who did our video, but but I've been hearing that all day. I guess it's people like us, like you, these people who show up. They like, whether we're right or wrong. And nobody's alone right now, right? And that's what it's all about. So we're going to pause right here, but we'll continue after a message from our professional partners. Also, if you are listening to this live on KPNL Radio or future podcasts, head over to youtube.com/the Experiencer Support Association to see the video that goes with this audio. Remember, you're listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association. and we'll be right back. But I'm just going to say, due to the topic of the question, Stephen, don't hate me for this first commercial because it's got Richard Dolan in it.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richarddolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. Exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis!
The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful.
Get away from me!
I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time.
It's been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that we're alone in the universe.
My mission is to assist and help those experiencing this phenomenon in such a way that they're able to continue and live with it, and also in a way that it can be measured, quantified, and reinforced within today's society, so that way it can be accepted and no longer viewed in a negative way. One thing that I do value in people is the ability to sense and feel when something is right and when something is wrong. That is a natural ability that we all share. Now, when we combine that with the paranormal and ufological abductions or visits, I have this sensation that these abilities are connected. Not everyone can sense, not everyone can feel. However, those who can are typically connected with something that we cannot explain. And part of my research is not just to investigate the experience, but it's also to understand and study the experiencer to find out what they have in common with other experiencers, to try to figure out what the actual makeup is in order to be on that spectrum. There's a lot of it happening all over the world, and I do not know of any other study that is focusing on the individuals as people, only the phenomenon. Welcome back. You are still listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. And if you're enjoying this episode so far, please consider becoming a member of our channel or send us a super chat. Your membership will get you bonus content like exclusive videos, and it will help us reach our goal of launching our training center, which is Interstellar, the Academy of Ufology and Paranormal Studies. Also, if you've ever experienced an unexplained event involving the paranormal, UFOs, extraterrestrials, dogman, or any other paracryptid, head over to TESSACAN.org/reporting system. The more, the more reports we get, the more we will understand the phenomenon and how it affects our people. Let the others who have already reported be that example that proves we are making a difference. And if it wasn't for those reports, we would not be able to do what we do. And for that, we thank you. And also, I would like to add, due to the nature of this conversation, we also have fraud reporting. So if there's any evidence that anyone has that could prove definitively that people are frauding, my private investigating firm could assist you in making that public. So just thought I'd throw that in there since the topic was here. So all right, and I don't know if Chantel, if you're still here and you're listening, but everybody knows Chantel usually moderates the chat. Tonight she was in the backstage and she was hanging on in the comments for me. So that works very well, and thank you for doing that. And we're back. So
thank God for chat room moderators. I've got some good ones.
That was we just tried that last minute.
You can't do it at the same time. You can't.
I know.
You can't.
But that was good. We did it last minute, so that's awesome. Okay, so we might as well, since this is a slamming conversation, we might as well add some more into the mix.
Uh-oh.
Well, like I'm curious too, because I have my thoughts.
Sure.
I don't trust people for certain reasons, and it just I just don't get anything out of it because I'm trying to solve it myself. But I mean, there's no useful information coming out of this. I've lost the entertainment value with watching these shows. I used to watch them all the time.
Me too. I stopped.
And then my wife started saying to me, she's like, "Oh, not him again."
It's the same guys.
Story,
it's the same guys.
I was like, "You not know who that guy is? That's Lou Elizondo." And she's like, "Who gives a shit? Like, he says the same thing all the time. It's nothing new, And it took that for me to be like, you know what?
Many of the documentaries have the same. So many of the documentaries have the same people in them too. It's like it's so cookie cutter after a while. It's like, well, it's above secret or above top secret or above majestic or this or that.
It's a business. They have their clubs and they have their format and they people and they have their following, right? So I mean, what's important is the attention. Dan Jones, how you doing, man? I challenge anyone who has had a UFO or paranormal experience to donate and keep this awesome show going. Thank you, Ryan, and all your guests. Dan, that is a bold challenge. Where did you come from? Thank you for that. Dan Jones is one of my old MUFON buddies. Him and I were serving MUFON Canada, and he's still with MUFON Canada.
Oh, I just want to mention Kate Snyder is in the live chat and says, Stephen, I can provide more clarification for the Dolan interview, FYI. I sent you a Facebook. Here. Yeah, I sent you a Facebook friend request, I think, Kate Schneider. So send me a PM on Facebook or DM on Twitter. I'd love to talk to you more about that.
Cool.
Always love great people. Some people whisper in my ear beautiful things, Ryan.
You know what? It's about
I verify, but some of those things people whisper in my ears turn out to be beautiful.
So you can verify. I can we'll talk off topic, but I mean, if you have evidence that I could link, then maybe we might just have to start another program on this channel. Maybe we can do something together.
Pix is even here. Hi, Pix.
Yeah. Hey, man. Okay, so let's do MUFON. Let's talk about an organization, not a person. An organization. MUFON very rarely gets mainstream media, but sometimes they're mentioned, and sometimes they're, there's and being an ex-MUFON director, and I was, so for your audience, just so you know, I previously was the director of field investigating training for MUFON International, so I was responsible for training all field investigators for the organization, and I was the chief investigator, national investigator for MUFON Canada, and Dan Jones was one of the guys that helped me. So they always wanted to be in the media, and sometimes they were, and sometimes they did, but they have access to a lot of information. So what are your thoughts on MUFON?
Well, hold on, I'm getting an echo, and I'm not sure why. 1 second, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Oh, I know what I did. Just bear with me for one moment. I apologize.
Okay. No worries.
I was trying to get over to your live chat. I don't know if you know, but you're in subscriber only mode. I thought I had subscribed, and now I just did, and it still won't let me write anything in the chat, but that's all good. No, I was playing the video on Twitter or something, so I was getting this echo. Yeah, my thoughts on MUFON are that it's a money-grubbing situation, and
thanks, Al.
And I really believe that, like, it's not very credible to take money from people and then put them through a very minimal set of training. I know you said you did the training, and I would have liked to seen your training, because I've heard horror stories from others in the United States that they just like give you a book, you pay the money, and then you take this super simple test, and then they send you a certificate that says you're a field UFO investigator.
Yeah.
And then they largely do nothing, after that. So
you're not wrong. So the book's actually out of reach, but I still have it there. That's in my pile of go through and use or shred pile. The MUFON Canada book is in there, or the MUFON book is in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the sale. You buy the book, and you have to get membership, and with your membership, you pay your dues to be part of the club and part of that and part of the charity. And then you get access to the database, and you get sent cases, and you get to work with people, and you get to, learn how to investigate the phenomenon. But that's what the volunteers do. But all we've really done is just paid the money to USA, and we don't get any of that money back. So as us doing the work, we still have to pay for a yearly membership. We still have to pay dues to keep that license, that little piece of plastic card that's in the field
so
investigator.
You got to keep paying.
Yeah, you got to keep paying in order to have access to the information, in order to continue working for free to give it to them. So there is a cost to run all these other things and all that other stuff. MUFON, according to the tax records, and last time I looked at them would have been 2017, and I think they made $500,000 that year. I can tell you, with running TESSA, TESSA was created, as explained in your show, but to just sum it all up, to operate TESSA. That includes the website, that includes this podcast, that includes like the training element, our expo at the end of the year, and all those other things. Entire year's cost is probably nowhere close to $10,000 at the end of the year,
which is reasonable
for a business with expenses. So and I'm sure, Dan, you could appreciate this, because you are still working for free and you're still doing all these things, but you do it for the people, and that's why I love you, man. And we work really well together on a lot of cases. But that's the thing, right? So where's that money going? So you got a full-time staff there's $40,000. So there's only two people paid on staff, and then everything else goes into the expo. But the expo cost to run their symposium is only like $3,000, and then everything else is tickets and paying the speakers and paying all these people and all these other things. So then you're up to like $10,000 to run that event. So you're still left with, like, I would say, $350,000.
That's a lot of cheddar. Yeah,
so where's that go? Where does that go? To what charity? Doesn't go to mental health, doesn't go to like science and space academies or anything like that. It goes back into the MUFON pot. So there's a lot of money there, and a lot of information.
I'd say that's a lot of money. And one of the big problems that I have too is with MUFON, and I would never support them after I heard this. Before I heard this, I was like, yeah, well, maybe they're doing some good. There should be a civilian organization that people could go to, especially because some people are leery of the government or the military or whatever. So I was somewhat supportive. And I knew John Ventry pretty well, or I got to know him before his, internet shenanigans.
Oh,
and Ventry, he was on my show a few times. Yeah. So, and he spoke very highly, and he thought, like, his whole life revolved around MUFON. All his friends were in MUFON. He went to MUFON meetings all the time, So it becomes like a social thing for him as well. And for many people it does. I was very supportive of them based on what I heard from John. But then when I found out that they sold all of their confidential case files to a billionaire, I just said, wait a minute, all these people are going to MUFON investigators, and
Mm-hmm.
many of them are told, we'll keep your information confidential, we won't share it with anybody. Then they take their entire database and sell it to a billionaire in the form of Bigelow. For those that don't know, Bigelow's this eccentric billionaire that's interested in aliens. So he decided he was going to buy all of the case files from MUFON, and MUFON gave it to him. And then it's important to understand, too, that what Bigelow then did with it is give it to the government. He gave a lot of that information to the government. So you have people who went to an independent civilian organization because they don't want
and they
the
still
government
do.
involved.
They still go to MUFON, though.
Yeah.
People still go to MUFON.
Well,
today.
people don't know better. They don't know the history there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, as soon as I found out that they sold case files that, you know, and I had sort of somebody that was a member of MUFON tell me the inside skinny on this. And he said, yeah, I've done probably 50 cases where people wanted to be anonymous. And they said, hey, you're not going to release my name or my information to anybody, are you? And he would say, no, you have my word. And so he quit. He quit because he felt betrayed by them selling these case files that he told people, your information will remain confidential and within our own organization. And then they sold it all to a billionaire who gave it all to the Pentagon.
So who's at fault for that, though? So he's got $1 billion. He goes to MUFON and says, "Hey, I want to buy your stuff." Is that Bigelow's problem?
No, I think the person
MUFON?
in charge, that's MUFON. The person in charge of the organization that made the decision to okay that deal.
Which means MUFON may have been aware that by selling the information that it would go to CIA. So
I believe that would be a reasonable assumption based on
and then
Bigelow's
therefore it's not
ties
really
to the
Bigelow's
government.
fault. It's just he did exactly what he said he would
I don't
do.
blame him. I blame MUFON 100% for that situation.
So do you think, okay, there's a question here. Ryan, what is your take on Boss obtaining MUFON data? So my take, I guess, on what we're talking about, supposedly said data went back to the DIA. So my personal take on that, while I was working with them, I was around after that had already taken place. So I was involved with the discussions on national side about keeping that under wraps. So I was at the time not fully informed what Bigelow was or what exactly happened, and I was just kind of just started that national position, so I was just kind of learning. And it was also a few years after that Tic Tac thing kind of happened, so I was kind of involved with MUFON trying to purchase the rights to have that video go at their symposium. So they actually paid to have Lou Elizondo. Paid a lot to have Lou Elizondo release that or show that video at their symposium. So, or to the stars or anything like that. So my opinion on that, again, business deal, but you're right. These are people trusting it. These are people from our position when we're like telling these people that, yeah, it'll be anonymous, it'll be confidential, it'll be all this other stuff. And then we're bad for that. We get blamed for that. And as MUFON field investigators, we don't have names. We're just numbers. We're in districts. We're in areas, and it's just MUFON, and we're the ones doing all the work. With our system, the only person you really have to trust with the data is me. Because it's protected by my private investigating company. So I'm insured and bonded, and it goes to me. So if my company fails or I lie, everything that I talk about this and my company goes to shit. So it's just what I'm trying to say is, instead of trusting an organization that has 500 people with access to so much information, I'm the only one controlling the information. I'm the only one that gets the information, and I'm the only one that shares it back and forth with the people. So so by doing that, I had to show that it's possible, which means the motive and the plan with this mass consumption of having volunteers and all that other stuff was a money thing. A lot of people bought into the idea that it would be so cool to be a member of an organization like the Men in Black and all that other stuff, because like it started after Project Blue Book ended, and so it was a marketing thing. it makes me wonder if the intent was to sell it all along or pass the information on all along. Now, my question to you, how much did Lou make for sharing the 3 videos? I don't know. All I know is that Jan Harzan was bartering with them at the time. So to me, if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have stopped that, to be completely honest, but I had no idea. What was I going to say? I completely lost my train of thought. I was leading into something.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, it seems that the message of their lack of ethics and problems within that organization don't reach people before they join, because there's George Knapp wrote an article on his Mystery Wire website. I think it was in September 20th. And he talked about, I think the headline was something like MUFON membership, grows with renewed UFO talks or interest or something like that. And he detailed how they're growing by leaps and bounds, and people are joining left and right now because of how popular UFOs are becoming. But, the other problem that I always had with them too is, didn't they run like a MUFON secret space conference, and they hired Andrew Basago and Corey Goode to be speakers who have zero evidence of anything they talk about? And if you're a scientific organization running a conference, I don't think that you should be hiring fairy tale hucksters. But they were going after the money.
But he had, and he has following, and people like that. And there are experiencers that I've talked to that would fit in that secret space program category. And with the things they draw and the things they describe, and it's possible that something like that might be happening, but we don't know what's on the other side and things like that. So it's a good story, whether or not it's true or not, it sells. That's the problem. I don't think the problem is these people selling the story. I think the problem is the people buying into it. Nobody's, we're to blame for them being on the pedestal by buying all these books and buying all these things, right?
Yeah, but in some ways that's like blaming Jack for buying the magic beans,
Yeah.
So I don't know who's to blame. I think it's both sides, really.
Lord Ludicrous Plaid, your question, where'd that go? You asked why doesn't, thank you. Why doesn't Lou Alzano want to show his taxes? So that's something else that was kind of floating around on UFO Twitter. I was kind of watching, and I like to watch the comments and kind of get both sides. But to me, honestly,
I should start watching and stop commenting myself.
No, you're one of the people I watch.
I get drugged into these things, though. Yeah.
Canadians should run the world. Yeah, thanks for trying.
It would be a kinder world, and we'd all have more.
We'd all be sorry.
We'd all have more maple syrup, hockey, and Canadian bacon, which is terrible. That part I don't like, but the Molson beer is not bad. Yeah.
So my take on the taxes is their personal taxes. So you're not going to get, people want the taxes because they want to see how much he made from the government, or to confirm that he actually worked from the government. But you can't release part of it. You got to release all of it. So if you release all of it, you're also going to see how much money that guy makes in general. You're going to see every asset that he owns, all his houses. You're going to see where he lives.
You're also going to see what other entities he may have been working for at the same time he was supposed to be a full-time UFO investigator.
So as much as there's information on there that could seal the deal, there's also personal information that can lead you directly to his family. And I wouldn't release it for that, because my tax records say personal stuff too. So he can use that for now. If anyone's interested, probably Steve, you'd probably be interested, because you seem like a guy I could leak information to. But I do have a background check on Lou.
I'd love to see that.
I could pass that off to you and highlight some things that are of concern. And
I was gonna ask you too. Let's just say that I have a background check already for somebody. But I have to do some more follow-up work, because on the background check, and this is a well-known, I can't say who it is because I'm still working on it, but this is a very well-known UFO celebrity. And I've got a background report on him that shows a burglary conviction some 10 years back. But then I got another background check from a separate company that didn't list that, but it may be because it's too old. So I've got to go try to find the court documents to see this burglary case before I report on it. And I'd like somebody to help me get some additional information. Kind of at
I might know a guy that could help you, but I wouldn't know where he is until after the show. But
no rush.
I'll tell you later.
No rush. Yeah. I'm a big fan of those background checks, though, because you can find out a lot about a person.
So on the topic of that, for me, it's the same thing. It's information. It's got personal information in there too that could tell you the locations of things that are personal. To get the some of that information is in the wrong hands. Some people really hates the guy. Could show up at his front door, and I don't.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would redact. I wouldn't share.
I know, and that's the scary thing about.
I'm more interested in criminal convictions, because
are you interested in the fact that I may or may not have a lead that was followed that shows something that was provided by his own admission that was blocked and hidden that no one else may have, that lists
sounds good to me.
That happens to list a number of entities or organizations in which he claims to be a part of.
Sure.
That is also omitting other things that he's been recently reporting on.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, and there's a lot to dig into there. And I came under a lot of attack for asking him to show his tax returns, but I thought that was a reasonable.
At least he answered your question, though.
Yeah. I thought it was a reasonable request, though, because it would at least show that he's telling the truth about his level of authority in the Pentagon based on his pay rate, and other information. But I have other information and sources, that generally a lot of the information that I got from people that I think I trust is telling me that he basically ran this thing as a hobby. Right. And this is before the revelations that it had no funding. So I wanted to see the tax return to say, how are you running an organization that has no funding, or are you doing this sort of as a hobby? In other words, my take on Lou is that he certainly worked somewhere within the Pentagon. We know that much. But what we don't know is what did he actually do in his day-to-day job at the Pentagon? Because he seems to lead people down this path that is saying, I was running this UFO program for the government while I was working for. And I've got people telling me that's not at all accurate. In other words, he had some job that had zero to do with UFOs, but while he's working at the Pentagon, he gets to know other people that are interested in the subject of UFOs. Maybe he encounters Eric Davis or Hal Puthoff or some of these other people, Harry Reid, whoever, and they start this plan that they're going to investigate UFOs, or they're going to look into, see what files they could find within the Pentagon or whatever. But I don't believe that it was as he originally described, which was, the government started this he told everybody the government started this $22 million program, and then I became the head of it. And that's not accurate at all. And we know that now. So, there's a lot there that doesn't make sense. I have more questions than answers when it comes to him.
Victor, I see your question there, and that's kind of good that you brought that up, because it should probably clarify. So your question is, Elizondo or TTSA were paid to show the Tic Tac video ? So I want to to be specific, what they wanted to do was secure the screening of the third video at their expo before it went to the television. So the first two were published in mainstream and all that other stuff. The buzz was going, but we all knew a third one was coming. So they made a deal to pay to secure them, so that way they could sell the tickets to get everybody to the event. Because I was going to be a part of that event to help with the event. So that's why I know that. It's part of the budgeting.
So TTSA and Lou Elizondo were paid to debut at a MUFON conference.
Correct. So instead of releasing it to the TV, it was just directly to TV. It was
I find problems.
Made a deal there.
I find problems with this as well, and I also find problems with Lou Elizondo apparently being the person within the United States Pentagon or government that secured the release of these and authorized the release of these, these videos that are owned by the taxpayers, right? They're owned by the government. He secures the release or authorizes the release of them, and then he goes on to profit from the release of these 3 videos for years now in the form of television deals and book deals and all this other stuff. To me, that's problematic. It's like, what if somebody that worked at the Pentagon released a video, let's just say, for example, from the Gulf War, and then he authorized the release of that video that maybe never should have been released, who knows? And then he goes on and gets a television deal and a book deal based on his releasing of that video. It's kind of, it's shady to me. It's like he purposefully released these with the plan to go cash in on them as soon as he could. And
we
got
to look at Leslie Kean, who was the journalist on that. So she would have made, she would have had to sell that story to the New York Times.
They paid
and
pretty
the
good
New York
money
Times
for
would
it,
have had to pay her for that video, which would have been significant enough to pay all those people for it. Now they might, maybe they did it for free and it leaked. Well, no, it's never leaked. It's bought. So can we, now that's the business. Now, if that's just the way business is, and somebody gets something good and they want to put it out there and they want to sell it, and that's the way it gets to mainstream media, can we trust that what's being put out there is authentic? If we can forgive the business transaction to get it out to the public who are seeing it for free?
Well, I always found those 3 videos to be very problematic for multiple reasons for each one. But one of the major problems I have with those videos is that I believe 2 of them were off the coast of California, and they were filmed apparently just miles from a drone research center. Literally miles, very short miles between where this drone research center is and where these videos were made and where these objects were spotted. Right. So to me, that brings up a lot of questions. And then the recent revelations in this book about OSAP and ATIP, it appears to be that it may have been that the program was to study foreign technologies and threats, meaning Chinese and Russian drones or drone incursions, not extraterrestrial spacecraft. That's why the military has, I believe, this UAP was a new term created to differentiate between UFO, which generally people think of aliens when you think of that. I mean, it could very well be that they created this term to differentiate, and that these programs that were created were really to study foreign aircraft and incursions into our airspace that couldn't be explained so easily. It's also very plausible that the government, one hand of the government doesn't know what the other hand is doing. And, I've heard from people, including one person, I had him on my show, a great source who works for a company that develops very advanced drone technology. And he said, when they do test flights, they don't call every branch of the government and say, excuse me, here's these coordinates where our drones will be flying today while we do test flights. They just don't do that. Do they try to actively avoid things like aircraft carriers? Probably, he said, but things like happen. Sometimes there may be ships or boats in an area you're doing testing and you didn't anticipate their being there, but you don't, it's very plausible that a lot of these videos are drone technology being test flown or whatever, especially the 2 that were filmed very near a drone research center.
So sorry, what I was looking for here is I wanted to fact check myself to make sure, because a lot of people are paying attention to what I'm saying here. So, and I feel like it's new information to them. So Lou Elizondo was at 2018, was at the MUFON Symposium, that one there. So the Pentagon declassifies the document that goes out April 27th, 2020. So that's 2 years after. So that's just a kind of a quick one on ABC News. So it's just to show in context that those things were gone. But I also wanted to also remember, and I can't prove this, so trust me if you want or not. But this video here is the 3rd one. I got to see it before the symposium, and the one that I saw didn't have I shit you not, didn't have all this stuff on it. All these words.
Did it have audio from the pilots?
Yeah, no, I just muted it. Yeah,
Okay,
it had audio.
because there's also been claims that the audio or the commentary of the pilots was added to these videos and not from the original source material.
I didn't hear any commentary from the pilots.
Okay, from that specific one, but there's another one where you hear the pilots going like, "Whoa, what is that?"
Yeah.
and this and that, and people have commented that was added, that was not in the original source material.
So the interesting thing for me though is
I don't know if that's accurate, but if they
what I'm
these,
saying is that overlay of words and from the cockpit and all that other stuff that shows up from the cameras was not present on the video that I looked at.
Yeah, so they added it, which means
yes. So what else did they add, or what else did they do? So it might have been added as an effect to create
a sense of legitimacy.
Yeah, who knows? I have no idea. Now, I thought it might have been a blimp and some things like that too, but also, everyone who knows my MUFON story, I blew the lid on Jan Harzan too, so nobody likes me.
Yeah, Pix is in the live chat, and he and I like to argue, so I'm going to argue with Pix. Pix says, I don't think drones can make 90-degree turns at what, 30,000 miles an hour. But we never got the data. We never get the data that proves that these things made 90-degree turns at that speed. We just get stories from people. Mm-hmm. And you can believe this story if you want to. I want to see the data, because radar tapes would show 90-degree turns and speeds. We never get it. Lou says it exists. Maybe someday we'll get it, but we never get it. And I don't believe we ever will get it. Mm-hmm. So, and there's also, drones can make 90-degree turns. That much is sure. So what we're left with is an argument over what speed was this thing going at. Yeah. And I haven't seen any proof that they were doing anything more than human-capable engineering speed. Mm-hmm. Not to say that that's not the case. Maybe they were going faster than machines we could currently engineer.
Well, there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things behind the scenes. But the fact of the matter is, regardless of how it went down, it's responsible for why we have it in the news today, and it's responsible for why you guys might have a UFO task force or office in the Pentagon one day. So like it.
Oh yeah, they're going to do it now.
The stage, okay. So like they did set the stage for.
But they also said that all data and information would be classified, exempt from disclosure. Yeah. So
it's a cover up for the cover up. That's essentially what's going on.
So many layers in this onion.
Moon, you said, Ryan, didn't you deal with a Canadian who was given documents by the Canadian government and profited for years from material that legitimately belonged to the taxpayers of Canada? So that is a loaded question, because I'm going to answer that. You obviously missed my lunchtime video today when I said I was no longer going to talk about this guy.
I want to hear this. This is juicy.
But I'll try to. So yes. So the answer: didn't you just deal with a Canadian who was given documents by the Canadian government and profited for years? So yes, I have been dealing with an individual whose name's Christopher Rotowski, who is a ufologist in Canada. As far as dealing with him, as I knew that he was getting information from the government. In 2015, I passed that information on to MUFON. MUFON told me to leave him alone, all these other things. I thought it wasn't right, because with the field investigators, actually, Dan, if you're still watching, I think you might have been one of the guys that told me to look at it and be like, hey, this isn't right. Anyway, so long story short, I ended up learning that he was a partner of MUFON, or MUFON liked him. There was there was this business exchange, blah, 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 blah. And I've been told that he was one of the striking forces that encouraged removing me from the organization. But I did stir a lot of crap up in that from the inside.
Yeah, quite the muckraker, aren't you?
Well, it's just it wasn't right for the people. So a lot of people quit. You hear about MUFON and everybody quits. I didn't quit. I stayed and I tried to change. Dan, that you talked me into staying longer than I did. My wife wanted me to quit longer than I stayed on. And I stayed on for the people, because I was just trying to ride that out. Like, you got to fire me, and you got to do a public statement. Like, I was pushing for that. But anyways, to go back to that. What's recently come out is the is that he's been given, the Canadian government has been giving him information about UFO sightings. What we didn't know he was doing is he wasn't releasing them to the public. So the what we end up learning through a journalist, because I gave all my leads to a journalist who validated and verified my evidence, which I didn't have a voice for because MUFON ghosted me. I lost all my contacts. I lost everything. I had to start from the ground up. And now I have more followings today than I ever had with MUFON. Imagine that. How ironic is that? So so essentially, after verifying the information, he came to the same conclusion that that shouldn't be happening. The Canadian government shouldn't be giving information to any civilian, let alone just one. So it became an issue where we wanted this to go out to the public, so that way they would stop doing that, and therefore exposed what he was doing. And then to go to your second part, and profited for years in material that legitimately belonged to the taxpayers of Canada. I cannot definitively prove that he's done it for profit until his book comes out, because I have the documents now in which he withheld, and I'm not releasing them to the public until his book comes out, because I need to see if the book contains said documents. And if the book contains said documents, then I would be able to heavily imply that it was done for profit at that time. But it's not the problem. That guy is the part of the problem. The problem is the Canadian government did not investigate the sightings serious enough, and they just decided that it was okay to give it to a civilian. Or what I subscribe to is that back in 1970s or whatever, whenever, and since he is a resident of Manitoba, and the arrangement, the handshake arrangement, was with NORAD in Manitoba, base number 1, and him being an employee of the Manitoba University. It implies that a government agency had made a deal with another government worker. So it was a pass of information to be protected still by another government entity. And then a few years later, in the 80s, he created his survey, which is annual, which he took all the MUFON data, he took all the other data, and created the survey and put it out in the news and the media all the time, because he's a media director. And by doing that, he never mentioned any of these declassified documents. In 2019, I found one. I got one. Paul Hellyer had reviewed it. I will take this opportunity to plug my book. I don't even know just as an example, but you'll see this for you, Stephen. So I'll give you an example. So this document here on page 31 is the document I'm talking about. So I got that, sent that to him, to Rotowski for review and all these other things. He ignored it, put out a survey, he didn't include it, and I thought that was odd. That was in 2019, and sure enough, this journalist came along. His name's Daniel Otis. And he found my document a year later, and he wrote this amazing article on the fact and the discovery as if it was like, sliced bread, except he didn't mention Rotowski. He didn't mention me because he didn't know either one of us. He just found it. And by finding it, we came together. I told him, hey, I'm the guy who found that. Congratulations. Good article, blah, 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 and this and that. Then I gave him my leads on Rotowski, and then he realized he helped write the story that I knew all along, and he made it go public to show that he was withholding information. But now, in order to save his ego, he's cooperating, and he's sharing the information with this journalist now. And they are now working together to write articles and make money, I suppose, off of the articles.
Cozy, very cozy arrangement.
A very good arrangement, but at least, and I don't blame him. It's a thankless job. Journalists don't make a lot of money, but he's got a relationship. He's got access to the information. what I care about is it gets out. And so far, the ones that he's been sharing are the ones that I have. So there's, it's to prove whether or not he was selling it for profit or not. That's going to be a real stretch unless everyone's in his book, or he releases them all before he writes his book. That'll kind of save his ass, to be honest. Hint, hint. But it's not about that. It's about the fact that the Canadian government either didn't care enough about the data to just think it was okay to give it to a civilian, or they were suppressing it and they were hiding it, and it was part of a sting in order to keep the information out of the media so nobody else would get it. Both scenarios are true. We just don't necessarily know the entire involvement. And with Rotowski, he was good at his time and in his prime. And he's also another one of those guys who's been on the mountain for a very, very long time. And I think I probably was the only one in his history that continued to get back up every time someone tried to throw him off the mountain. And, all I'm happy about is there's change. The documents are coming out. So anyways, I just did that elaborate explanation for you because
that's fighting the
your
good
audience.
Fight.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that has nothing to do with ufology. And I mean, these documents, they should be all of ours. I mean, this document that I'm talking about too, what's taken me time to get these up is I want to transcribe these. I want to get them up on our database so they can become searchable and usable by everybody else, to help the research and things like that too. I mean, there are a lot of good researchers like yourself, Stephen. Like, I mean, like we could put your talents to good use and
I'm trying to
find out what's going on. And
I'm trying to do that. Yeah. And I'm all self-taught. Like I didn't go to journalism school. And so once in a while,
you can do citizen journalism.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah. That's what I consider that I'm doing. But I do
you blog at all?
No, I used to.
Would you?
But on other subjects, yeah.
Well, maybe you can. We're always looking for content. If you want, you can write for us if you want.
Yeah. I could probably be interested in that. It might get me started again. I have several book projects that people want me to write or take part in, and I'm already doing so much on the media side that to sit and write. But I'm hoping, I have this cabin, and in wintertime, there's not much for me to do at the cabin in the winter. Most of the work is outside, or, I have a few things to finish work-wise on the inside of the cabin. But I plan on this winter just sitting there and writing whatever. I have a book that I'd really like to write on basically my 20 or however many years I've been looking into UFOs. I think it's time to make some conclusions about different cases and different things. So I'm hopeful that I'm going to write that this winter. We'll see. But writing for a blog might get me some practice and get me back to the habit of writing, because writing it's fun and cathartic if you do write what you really want to express. So I'd be interested in that.
Okay, well, we can definitely make that happen. I mean, we have the opportunity with TESSA to give everyone, a place to share their stuff. I review everything just to make sure that insurance is gonna not cover anyone who tries to sue us. So just but as a private investigator,
I've got the same problems.
All you got to do though is say allegedly and according to and my opinion and blah blah blah. You just got to go. I'll help you with that. Don't worry. And Moon, good suggestion. He says Stephen needs to do a vlog for TESSA. So even with our channel, we're also looking to merge with other groups that might want to provide additional content that is different from what they normally do on their channel, and we can host that on our network here on YouTube. We also have a podcast network. I mean, there's lots of alternative. If you want to do something different and explore that kind of doesn't take away from your theme and your vibe that you got with your following.
Sometimes it's safer to play in a different playground.
Exactly. Right? And that's a good way to kind of cross promote and bring people here, just like what we're doing tonight.
Sure.
Yeah. Exactly. And what kind of articles are we looking for? Well, anything you really want to write, as long as it's factual and not harmful. Well, I got to practice what I preach. I write harmful articles, but I have the evidence to back it up. That's we want. If you guys are writers and there's content to put out there, there's a platform that we've created for people. If you have a YouTube channel, have an idea for a video for YouTube, like we make those commercials. I made those commercials. I can do graphic arts and stuff like that to help anybody out as well. Anyone who's just looking to, if you have an idea, just start. And that's kind of what TESSA does on the media side, to bring everybody together. And but let's talk. We got 10 minutes. Maybe we can go a little bit over if you want. Let's throw in another. What did you say? What did that comment say, Chantal? Ryan, thanks for being a gracious host. Later, Truth Seekers, I have to go. Awesome chat. All right, thanks for tuning in.
Nice
Thank you
to
for
see
that.
Craft 72.
Nice to see you.
Always in my live chat.
Okay. Oh, is he? All right. Yeah, it's hard to tell with
good
all
guy.
this stuff going on. So, so you mentioned Hal, Linda Moulton Hal, and she okay, let's play a game.
No.
It's either do we trust them or do we not trust them? Don't explain why. Just yes or no. Okay.
But let me just say that's my opinion.
Yeah, your opinion.
My opinion, no one else's. So that's
wholeheartedly. On a whole, balance of probabilities, the highest percentage. Trust or not trust Richard Dolan.
Not trust.
Okay. Trust or not trust Stephen Greer.
No trust him.
Trust or not trust Lou Elizondo.
I'd like to, but no, I don't. There's too many inconsistencies.
Trust or not trust Linda Moulton Howe.
Definitely not. No, I happen to recently need to get access to information that she keeps behind her paywall.
Okay.
Some of her historical blogs. She's been blogging for, since blogs began, really.
Mm-hmm.
But she put most of it behind a paywall. So in order to find something, I had to pay for her paywall. And I was shocked at the number of totally fake stories that she has behind her paywall. Things that everybody knows are fake and been proven fake for years. And she still talks about these things like they have some kind of value. And she has this disclaimer that she puts in, although proof may not be available, we still feel that this is valuable information to consider. No, it's unproven garbage, but okay, I just
that's a journalism buffer, right? So you have to put that in there. As long as that's there, that's the legal buffer. Let's get into. Do you know Randy Kramer? Trust or no trust?
Absolutely not. He's a fraud.
Why do you say that?
Because he was never in the military.
How do you know that?
Because people have looked for his military records and he claims that it's classified or some other such excuse. And that's why people can't get it, because he was in some secret form of the military.
Have you ever talked to Randy Kramer?
No, but I did once challenge him to a boxing match.
Okay.
And I can explain that. Randy Kramer claims to be a super soldier and have, so that would mean he has superpowers. And I reasoned that I've almost never boxed in my life, that if he had these superpowers, he'd surely be able to beat the snot out of me in a boxing match. So I offered him $10,000 and told him that he could use all his superpowers and he could fight me in a boxing match. I told him that I would pay for the ring, I would pay for the referee, I would pay for the venue, anywhere he wants to do it. He didn't want to reply or do that. And now that's not proof that he doesn't have superpowers.
Though? That's just seems like a couple of Americans trying to hash something. Yeah,
it does
that's
seem
not
kind
the
of
Canadian
silly.
way.
But my way is you're saying you have superpowers. Prove it. Beat me up. I don't think he could beat me in a boxing match. He doesn't look to be in great shape.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with superpowers. It's mental, the psionics and the mental abilities and all that other stuff.
Well, couldn't you use that in a boxing match?
Well, no, because boxing, you have to use your hands to box. That's not, you don't use your mind.
He can hit me with some, mind shocks while he's boxing me. I don't know.
Well, maybe that's why he said no, because you didn't define, that was in the right rules. He's not a boxer.
Okay, well, we can have a mental boxing match.
The rules of the game.
Thanks
for checking in.
As soon as somebody starts talking about super soldiers, I just think of Captain America, and I think it's silly. Do you know There's a James Casbolt Super Soldier channel that there's actually people that claim that they're basically the Hulk, like that they transform into somebody that's 8 foot tall with all these muscles, and some of it is just so
I get
ridiculous.
reports on a daily basis. Some people do make very, very tall claims, but I have to
as
believe
soon as
them.
people
I
say they
believe
have
them no matter what.
superpowers, I turn off a little bit. As soon as they start talking about their superpowers that they can't prove or show.
Well,
there was one.
teaches psionics too. He teaches remote viewing. He teaches a bunch of those mental ability trainings. What do you feel about that?
Well, if he could prove them scientifically, I don't have a problem with it. The problem is he never will. He'll never prove his superpowers in a scientific setting or in a laboratory setting.
I've never seen him prove his powers. I've sat in a room where a 4-hour lecture with him, where he was teaching an audience how to remote view. My first experience with remote viewing was with Randy Kramer. I was able to complete the exercise and actually see the object in which he was hiding.
Well,
So,
hey, if you find value in it, great. Maybe I should take a better look. But I've listened.
Well,
to
I'm not talking. We're talking about the person, and then we're talking about now. I'm talking about the teaching
the information he has. Sure.
Yeah. The reason why I'm saying that is because Randy Kramer is our guest next week. Randy Kramer is our final guest for our 2021 season.
Oh,
so that's our final episode.
Tell him I'd love to test his superpowers.
Well, no, I'm telling you and your audience to tune in next week, because that's going to be. And if you haven't talked to Randy, that's why I set it up. I set that up. So because that line of questioning, because I wanted to say.
I just don't honestly. I don't think that he has ever proven his military claims. I don't believe that he's ever proven his superpower claims. And to me, we have something in this country called stolen valor. My father was a veteran. I have many people in the military in my family. For somebody to make money telling stories about fighting aliens on Mars, claiming that they were in the Marines or whatever, and then got recruited into the secret program, but then they never were in the Marines and can't prove it, I have big problems with that. Because you're making money, and honestly, that's against federal law. You can't make money from stolen valor. It's a felony in the United States. So every time Randy Kramer gets on a stage and tells his story, I believe that he's committing a felony. Will he be prosecuted for it? Probably not, because especially in today's times with the current health crisis, people are awfully busy and backlogged. And do they really want to go after some guy telling stories of fighting, insectoid aliens on Mars that's claiming he was a Marine that never was? Maybe they don't have time for that.
Well, we're going to get into that next week. So I'm going to get down the break in the nut bolts and all that other stuff. So if you tune in, would be your
sure.
chance,
and I'm sure I have a folder.
Your opportunity to ask your questions.
I'm sure I have a folder somewhere of information on him, and I'll see if I can't dig it out. And it's been years since I looked into it.
Yeah, for me, I've met Randy on we went and had lunch together because we had to get away from all the MUFON bull crap. And I got to know him on the level. I mean, he may at the very least be some sort of a soldier in some sort of army or military, I think. But
yeah, he may have been.
But I mean, if it's a secret space program, if it's secret, we don't know about it. He's not the only one who talks about it. I do have some experiencers that have reported, doing some time on other planets and stuff, and they describe things. I had one guy that described things and had him draw it, and then I had a girl describe things and draw it, and it's the same damn thing. So I do have some evidence that might suggest that there is perhaps, another side of things or another war, but it also could be just in our mind. It might not actually be on a planet. So from an experiencer perspective,
I get that some people have their experiences, but again, I know it's childish, but if this guy was fighting insectoid aliens on Mars, I would think that he could really beat the snot out of me in a boxing match. I was never a soldier, right? Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was a fun thought experiment to any super soldier.
Stormtroopers, not stormtroopers, starship troopers.
Starship troopers. That's what his story sounds like, and I could kind of I thought it was an interesting thought experiment for anybody that claims that they're a super soldier or have superpowers. Come and show me your superpowers and beat me up in a boxing match. And if you could beat me, I'll believe that you have superpowers.
Well,
But
what
you
it,
know,
what, yeah, but
but Randy
that's just,
Kramer's specific claims are different. Some of these guys actually claim they have lasers embedded in their forearms that can pop out, like the Bionic Man and all this other ridiculous stuff. You know?
do you want to go overtime and throw another name in, or?
Yeah, we could do one more.
Okay, because Corey Goode's another guy who's
Oh
on
no!
that spec. Well, he claims the same thing. But
Yes, but
Randy and Corey don't get along.
I have been
So
following Corey Good since the very beginning.
what's up with
And
Corey?
what's up with Corey Good is that I believe that he is a fantastical storyteller and not much more. He's also a very toxic individual from all reports of people that have been close to him or worked with him or had experiences with him. He is right now suing, let's see, his former television producer, his former writer and manager. And somebody needs to explain to me why somebody recounting or supposedly recounting real experience he had needs a writer to write for him. Okay.
Time management.
He's suing his former conference organizer. He's suing the girl that wrote his course that he sold recently. He's suing a lawyer from New Jersey who has a YouTube channel, CW Chanter, CW Chanter used to go live every time Corey Good did a video. Right. And he would go through the video and sort of make fun of it and talk about how ridiculous his claims are and point out all the inconsistencies and things like that. And then CW Chanter caught him with this secret Facebook group planning to dox his critics and attack his critics, and they were making memes, and they were gonna, try to damage people's reputation just because they went online and said Corey's stories weren't real. And he revealed that and other things. So he's getting sued. Corey Good is also suing.
What is he suing them for?
You'd have to read the court documents, but basically Corey Good is alleging that there's some vast criminal conspiracy against him to damage his reputation in the UFO community and stop him from getting work in the UFO community. When the reality is, it was critics that were, some of them, I don't think anybody was really that nasty.
So that just proves his intent, though. If he's going to sue, so people don't sue for defamation unless they want to divulge that they're losing money off of it. Some people claim that they're doing it not for profit, and then that's why they don't sue, because it proves that they're doing it for profit.
Well, he's never shied away from saying he's doing this for profit, and it's really his whole motive is profit. The guy's making comic books. He's been selling the same comic book for 4 years, pumping this comic book. That's the last time I checked, it's still not done, but he's been taking pre-orders for it for 4 years. And he's had 3 or 4 times where he said it'll be done by this date. And then the people that paid him are getting pissed off. Like, I paid you 3 years ago for the comic. Can I get it? But unfortunately, that's a legal gray area. I talked to his local district attorney and showed them how long he's been collecting money for this thing. And they basically said, unless the police and the district attorney can prove that he had no intention of ever delivering that comic book intentionally, they can't prosecute him. It's just a business failure of his. So lately he's talking about, and his whole stories are just ridiculous. He's time traveled, he's age regressed. The one thing I could say about Corey Good is every single time you can fact check him, it turns out he's lying.
Well, like, the thing is with this, like what I was trying to allude to, if these two people are in the mainstream media, well, they're kind of in the subculture mainstream, like they're in the Gaia and the other media streams, kind of. That's not like, well, Gaia's doing good, but there are experiencers that have similar claims. So what I'm trying to do as a phenomenologist, trying to understand why people are the way that they are. I didn't know who you were at the beginning, but now I have a pretty good feeling of who you are and why you are the way that you are. And there's nothing wrong with that. But now at the end of this, but I guess where I'm leading with this is, how do we know if these people that I'm having as civilian civilian cases are having genuinely these types of phenomenons happening to them, or they're just doing that because he said it? It must, this thing that happened to me must be what happened to him, because we do need to have some idols. You mentioned
Yeah,
superheroes.
I understand that, but sometimes people will say that to me, like, well,
Mm-hmm,
these bunch of different people said the same thing.
mm-hmm.
That's not an indicator of truth. That could be an indicator of, they
Confirmation
heard
bias.
that, yeah, confirmation bias. They heard the story. Maybe their story was similar, so they took on parts of this story, and
So is it possible to, regardless of the people, remove the people in your mind? Is it possible for there to be a military operation on another planet that would involve, insect or type creatures? Do you
well,
think
I
that's
mean,
possible?
yeah, I mean, anything's possible, but I always come back to the knowing a little bit about manned space flight, like the billions of dollars it would take to get us to other planets. There were
Which
just
is the
it's
conscious
just
connection. Maybe they're going with their mind. They're not physically leaving. It's just done mentally,
so
and in another
imagining their
space
experience. I
and
don't know.
another time.
Could be. I mean, the mind is a crazy thing. It's a lot of people
Beautiful
don't know
thing.
this, but the human mind is the most complicated thing known in the universe. So who knows what the human mind can do? We could look at people with multiple personality disorder and things like that. Like what an amazing weird thing that is, that the mind can create whole different personalities to shield somebody from psychic trauma and pain, and it's amazing.
I'm still
So
trying to.
yeah,
I'm still trying to find someone you like. So what about David Wilcox or
oh no,
Wilcock or
no,
however,
no,
whatever?
no.
No,
He's a pure prophet. This guy's been faking being a psychic for so many years.
I used to think he was David Spade for so long,
I
and
think that it was the same guy.
I
Yeah.
thought they were the same guy. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's I like dead guys, which is kind of weird, right? Like I like J. Allen Hynek. I like Stanton Friedman. It's kind of like those guys can't do anything else to sell out and piss me off. So maybe I like them because they're safer.
Well, did they
I do
piss you?
like. I do like.
You did interview Friedman back in the day.
Yeah.
Didn't
Oh
you?
yeah. And we disagreed on many things. We talked a lot off air, and he was very good to me. But my point is that like some of those older guys that are already passed on, Jim Mars. I really love Jim Mars books. It's kind of like maybe it's safer for me because they didn't continue on and start selling garbage. Most of their work I think is credible. Though I did disagree with Stanton Friedman on a lot of things, including the star map and the Betty and Barney Hill case and things like that. But we agreed on most things. He was an interesting guy.
Do you know any other Canadians that you would support, go through, or that you like?
No, I'm not really very familiar with too many. Oh, I do like Grant Cameron too, even though, again, I disagree with him on many, many things. But what I like about Grant Cameron is that he is wholly possessed by the need to know the truth of the phenomenon. He just is all chips in. He spends all this time following a list of characters, and anytime they do any media appearance, he listens to the whole thing, and he's trying to piece together these disparate pieces of a puzzle he believes exists. And you got to admire the guy's passion and his tenacity, even though I disagree with him on many things. Like some of the cases that he talks about or really thinks are true, I go, I don't think so. But he did shift. He used to be very nuts and bolts guy, and then he shifted into it's all consciousness. All this is generated by consciousness. It's all formed by consciousness. These experiences involve consciousness. Driving the ships is done through consciousness. They control the ships through thought and consciousness. They warp space-time based on thought and consciousness. It's very interesting to just think about those possibilities.
And my science and research is leading to that being a more probable answer than alternatives, but we still don't have proof to confirm that either, like definitively. So it's a good alternative thought to kind of separate yourself from all this bullcrap that we just talked about tonight. And I want to let the audience know that like this, a reason why I engaged in this conversation and bring it out like this is I kind of want to prove the point that I've been saying all along. None of what we've discussed is good for anyone. It's not ufology is a game. It's a show. It's
It's a
not.
circus. It's a
Yeah, it's a
circus.
circus.
Mhm.
I'm in the mix because there's the possibility that there might be something factual that can be used to help you and to help me in my research and my studies. That's why we have to look at it and we have to pay attention. And every time there's something interesting, you're going to be disappointed, but you got to click on it anyways because it just might be right and I might just be able to help you. But we're always disappointed all the time.
Yes,
But
down the rabbit hole we go again.
so
Yeah.
let us go down the rabbit hole. You as experiencers, stop going down the rabbit hole or every rabbit hole. Pick your sources. And I don't know. I mean, do your own research if you can. But I don't know. So I challenge you, man. Go through that book and do a rant on me, and let's see if I
look, I from what I saw so far, it's very science and fact based, and it's got a lot of data in it, and I love that kind of thing. So
and keep
I
in
can already
mind,
tell you I like what I saw so far, but I got to read. I'm gonna sit and read the entire book in one sitting. So
what you said earlier is that you like the blog because you're not a journalist. Okay. That book, like you said, you mentioned science, you mentioned data, you mentioned all that other stuff. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a scientist, but I understand the scientific theory. I understand how science works. I understand how investigations work and journalism works. So you'll see all that in that, and keep that in mind when you're reading that, so that way you can be inspired to write. You don't need these credentials. You don't need.
Oh no, I'm a big believer in
Yeah.
self-education.
Yeah, as long as you're right, it doesn't matter, because these people here, we've had most of these are your fans, mind you.
Well, thanks for everybody coming.
So thanks for everyone coming out to that. But we've held at a solid number the whole time. So and the tension has been kept. These people are here for you.
They're here for you too.
They're here for you, but we'll see if they're here for me. If they're in next week with for Randy Kramer.
Yeah, everybody. I'd encourage everybody to subscribe to.
Well, they had to in order to comment. See how I set that up? That's marketing. See, we do it, so it's a good way too. So, all right. So, thank you everybody so much. Do we have any questions from the members before we leave? Our members, where are you? Jacqueline, does he believe in God's source? Or is there enough evidence?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah,
absolutely. I was raised Catholic. Now I consider myself a recovering Catholic. I would describe myself as a non-denominational Christian who also has a lot of beliefs that align with Buddhism, and I meditate a lot. And I kind of think that learning about Buddhism made me a better Christian, and maybe being a Christian made me a better Buddhist too. But I definitely believe in an all-powerful creator of the universe, and that this universe is too perfect for it to all be an accident, as some people would like you to believe. Mm-hmm. At the very least, I believe that there was some force that intelligently designed the universe and caused it to come into existence.
Mm-hmm. That sounds very Masonic.
There you go. I'm ready to join, man.
Yeah, no, I said that on purpose based on our last conversation. Okay, so that's good. Thank you. And Kevin, what'd you say, Kevin? Ryan, it was a really great show tonight. Stephen, you rocked, and y'all really picked up my spirits. Blessings and donuts all heat the world. So H2W heat the world. Thank you, Kevin. I'm glad you're feeling better. Good to see you. All right, guys. So for those of you who are new to this channel, I'll take the opportunity to let you know that I do a live Q&A every Thursday and Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So you can pop in and ask me anything you want to know, and I'll tell you what I can. And we'll discuss any topic that you want, tell you about TESSA, all those other things too. Once again, thank you all for joining us tonight, because and thank you, Stephen, because whatever you did and whatever following you have, you broke all the records. We had the most holding here tonight on this podcast. We had the most money dishing out for whatever reasons. Thank you for that. And great questions from everybody all around.
Yeah, very generous, everybody.
And,
thank you.
I feel like I'm going to give you some information, and see where you go with it, because I feel like you probably would be able to do the stuff that I need someone to do with it, and keep myself removed so I can gather information. Let's just say that I can get you info. I just don't want to expose it yet because everyone still thinks I'm friends with them. Know what I'm saying? PI
with
first,
that
everybody.
plausible deniability, yeah. Blame Cambian.
Thank you for
that bastard. Blame that bastard skeptic Steve Cambian for doing this.
No, hey, you gotta think. You gotta play both sides. I'm just playing the odds right now. There's a lot more people asking. Other people ask questions too. I decide if I made a choice. I decide I'm either going to be on the bandwagon where all this stuff is real and make some money and make a story up and do all that, or I'm going to side with the people who have questions, because I have questions too. And there's more of us who understand that this isn't making sense. So I want it to make sense. I want it to be the best, to solve it. Because if we can figure it out, then they can figure it out, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We can
all right. So tell everybody where they can find you.
You can look. All you got to do is go to the YouTube search bar, put in one word, Truth Seekers. Look for me, the strange guy with the sunglasses. That would be the host of Truth Seekers, Steve Cambian. That's me. Come, if you haven't already, come and smash that subscribe button, smash the notification bell. We've been doing about 5 live shows a week, plus we've doing some clipped production videos from, taking clips from some of the best of the live stream. We're also doing a sort of a legacy thing every week. I used to do a radio show called The Midnight Hour that was on the Fringe FM, and there's a whole bunch of episodes of that, so we put one every week. We normally do it at 8 o'clock on Thursday, but we had this interview today. So tonight at midnight, we'll be airing what was actually like a lost episode of The Midnight Hour, where I completely and totally debunked this thing called the alien interview. Not the alien autopsy. There was another very popular, but not quite as popular as the alien autopsy thing called the alien interview, where somebody claimed to smuggle a VHS tape out of Area 51 that portrays the interview of a gray alien. And unfortunately,
like
it was
Skinny Bob or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. But unfortunately, that video was all a hoax, and we peel away a few of the layers of deception and show that it was a manufactured hoax. In tonight's episode of The Midnight Hour, that's going to be strangely at midnight tonight, Eastern Standard Time, on my channel. I'll be in the live chat to answer any questions and just to talk to everybody, so everybody's welcome.
Right on. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And as I always say, keep your eyes in the sky. Heed the world.
Ryan is...
Sorry, wrong commercial. Heed the world.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, where together, my friends, we own the night. On our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a place called the SOR Sightlines Report. All of our investigations and people who inquire are turned over to TESSA, the Experiencer Support Association. Ryan Stacey and his crew, what I like about them, they're independent. They're not working for anybody, and they want answers. We want answers for our listeners and people who inquire as well about their experiences. It's a great tandem, and we love being teamed up with TESSA. If If you haven't heard of us before, that's okay. We'd love to earn your listening ears. Join us 9:06 Pacific Time, 12:06 a.m. Eastern for 3 hours of live entertainment 7 days a week.
Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Hello, new YouTube member. Guess what? You've just unlocked bonus content that no one else has seen before, and you get exclusive access to some neat features. If you join the Experiencers Anonymous tier, you've unlocked loyalty badges which will appear next to your name when you join us live during any of our videos. The longer you stay with us, the cooler the badge will be. Also, you get to use these cool custom emojis that we made just for you. You also get to access our private Discord chat where we can communicate all the time privately. All you have to do is email us at admin@tessacan.org. Let us know you want in on the discussion and we will send you the link directly to Discord. This tier also unlocks early access to new videos, behind the scenes and blooper footage, as well as some exclusive videos made just for members. All that for $2.99 Canadian a month. If you join the unclassified tier for $4.99 Canadian, you would get everything I just said, plus extended footage of some of our featured videos, a discount to our merch store, and so much more. If you are a member of the unclassified tier, email us at admin@tessacan.org and let us know, and we will send you a discount code for the Paranormal Hangar. All proceeds go back into the mission and help us create educational content for you and the rest of the world. Thank you for being a part of that journey. There are lots of perks, so make sure you check that out. Also, you can use this tab to share and communicate with Tessa. That's it. Unless you have a better idea. If you do, email us at admin@tessacan.org if you have any requests for videos or bonus perks or anything at all. Really, you are in charge. Don't be afraid to reach out. Thanks for your support, and if you know anyone else who may benefit, please share our channel. The more people we have, the more we can help. And thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. Say it with me. Say it, Tim.
Eat the world.
Eat the world.